As you navigate your path through life, all that is required is that you take one step at a time. Though hard it may be at times, each day, be committed to show up strong. Some days your strength can look different to other days. Just know this, that whenever you're at your worst, try to look your best. Dress up and face the world. That's the first step towards moving forward. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one simple step. Lao Tzu.
It's another beautiful day and we are here enjoying the ambience of the Sunset Shores, the Beach Hotel in Villa St. Vincent. I'm Dr. Jozelle Miller and welcome again to another episode of the OneStep podcast, where we speak about picking ourselves up, being resilient, pushing against all odds to make sure that we get to the end that we desire. I want to encourage you now to call your friends, call your family, get before your device. We are on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever it is possible that you can hear or view this podcast. Make sure you are tuned in because it is going to be great. My guest today, we are going to be speaking about her story, her life, and if I can use two words to describe her, tenacious and determined. And I want you to make sure that you tune in for this episode. We're going to take a break just to big up our sponsors and we'll be right back.
At the Vallejo Experience, your total wellness is our concern. We offer professional counseling for a variety of life's personal and corporate challenges, including grief, bereavement, and post-traumatic stress. Our corporate packages also include competitive coping strategies, individual and group dynamics, professional development, and retreats. Perhaps you just need a wellness assessment or some help understanding who you are to restore your emotional balance. Whatever your emotional needs, remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step with the Vallejo Experience. Talk to a specialist today. Call us at 1-784-498-7772 or visit our website at www.vallejoexperience.com.
Video marketing just got a whole lot better with CG Productions. Our promo videos are guaranteed to captivate your audience and drive results. Say hello to more traffic.
Don't settle for ordinary marketing materials. Choose CG Productions for extraordinary results.
Some may ask, what is the motivation behind OneStep? And I want to use the words of Lao Tzu. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single step. That's all we have to do. Be willing to push through and make that one step regardless of the challenges and the situations. My lovely guest today is Miss Teresa Endeavour Ferdinand. I know her as Terry, and maybe other persons know her by a different name. But I am so happy to have her seated here on the OneStep podcast. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you, Jozelle, for having me.
Now, she's a bit nervous, but she's going to get past the nervousness very soon. Terry, I have seen you do your thing. You have, I would say that you're someone who have many different talents. From the makeup, from the hair, from your pursuit in terms of your own work and your area of study. And even how you are as a mother, as a friend. There's so many different things about you that I admire. And I'm thankful that you decided that you want to share your story today. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself growing up here in St. Vincent.
So I grew up in a humble family. I would use the word humble you know, to basically describe where we came from and our journey. I have to say we, because it started way back from my grandmother's days, right? and I've seen her struggle. I've seen her overcome things, and I've seen her pass on the baton to my mother, my aunties, and so we, the younger generation, pick up on that, right? So, like I said, close knitted family. Grow up, my childhood, however, was not so much the traditional. Um, when I say traditional, I mean, you know, vacation, you hang out with your neighbors, you play, whatever. I mean, in the younger years, yes. But from the age of 12, maybe 11, 12, 12, yes. 12, that's when we get into Form 1. I discovered a passion and I realized that I was extremely good, some would say gifted at that passion. And I utilized that, you know, to bring some earnings for myself and my family.
And what was your passion?
Doing hair.
Doing hair.
Yes, it wasn't, this was my choice though. It was never forced upon me. You know, humble beginnings, meaning, you know, the mother, the father, everybody hustling to ensure that we have the basic needs that we require. But as a young teenager, you know, you want the extra stuff. And I choose to, you know, find positive ways on those extra stuff. So when I discovered that passion, I utilize that skill. So while my siblings and cousins would have their summer, you know, to play and catch up and all that, I'm somewhere in a salon braiding somebody's hair. I'm somewhere in somebody's home braiding their hair so that I can own that transport bag or that Reebok shoe to go to school. And long after my sister joined me in secondary school, I feel it was like that responsibility to get those things for her too, right? So it was more pushing. So from the age of 12 years, persons would know me, you know, doing their hair, standing somewhere in a store, and things like that. That was basically what it was.
But you know what? One of the things when we think of teenagers, especially teenagers today, we don't necessarily see that drive that most times we hear persons, young people, they want stuff, but they're not willing to work for it. And I'm glad that very early it was instilled in you the importance of actually working for what you want. And then not just being selfish about yourself, but you saw the need now that you needed to also look out for your sister. And that's quite commendable. What would you have said would have been your childhood dreams in terms of your own aspirations for career and your life? How did you view your life?
I was gonna own a salon.
You're going to own a salon. Okay.
Yes, that was my dream. All during school, I was known for, you know, braiding hair, and that's exactly where my first gig came from. You know, doing a friend of mine hair, Wendy Ann. And you know, we would just all get together in the toilet in the back of the school, doing stuff. And then at the time, her mother owned the salon. And she went home and she told her mommy about this bad man braid, hairstylist, braiders, whatever. And the mommy was like, "Oh, tell she come down when school closed, and you know we'll see what she can do." And it became a thing. So it led from there and into another salon. And when that was not enough, I found, you know, those little store gigs and stuff like that. So my aim was to be the trending hairstylist. Whatever come out, I was going to be the one to, you know, to do it, to perfect it, etc.
So, okay, so what changed?
Life changed.
Life changed. Okay. Yeah, so life happened.
Yes. I took on the responsibility to parent a child at the age of 19. And so my perspectives on a whole lot of things changed, right? I wanted to be her role model, you know, whatever. I know she was imitating me, so I wanted to ensure everything was perfect. And while the hairdressing and all of that was my passion at the time, I wanted to find something more stable, right?
Okay.
So my mommy was working with someone fresh out of school, fresh out of secondary school. I had a little hold on at Lane's store, but I always wanted more. I know this was never going to be my, you know, my future thing. This was
Right.
just the now to help
Right.
to provide for that child and also for my family. So I was introduced to the S program um, through my mom's boss, and they explained to me that, you know, it's not really going to offer you a lot in terms of finance money, but you'll be able to maybe hone in on some extra skills, and that may take you further. So, you know, first thing come to mind, who's going to work for that little bit of money? You understand what I'm saying? But I took it with grace, and I looked at it as I was learning something new, and maybe my professional career could probably lead from here. At the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just needed to get into the office, learn as much as I can at the time, and, you know, go from there.
So that foot in the door, that is something that I think a lot of times persons overlook. That often when I hear young people starting out, they expect that they're going to land the CEO position or they're going to land the supervisory roles. And persons despise their humble beginnings and the small beginnings because we want to dive and dive in great and dive in big. But it's important to point out, as you did, that getting your foot wet, getting inside the door, learning as much as you can. And one of the things that just stood out to me again, when you said that you had a passion, one thing I always bear in mind, and this is from my spiritual background, I remember when Moses was before the deep, the Red Sea and the Egyptians behind. One of the things that was pointed out in scripture, he says, you know, what am I going to do? And the Lord said, use what's in your hand, which was a rod. And you used what was in your hand at that time, which was braiding. And that caused you then to get the exposure. And word of mouth goes so far.
So far.
So very far. Because,
Something I would elaborate on as the you know, our discussion continue.
yeah. So let's take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
Remember, we set up and you just show up. Make your next picnic a luxury picnic.
So we are here with the tenacious Teresa Endeavour Ferdinand. And she was sharing her story as it relates to how she started out from age 12 with an entrepreneurial spirit that she wanted to do so much more for herself, to help her family. She also took on the role at age 19 to be a mother to someone. I'm going to dive a bit more into that whole process and how that evolved into bringing her to where she is now. So at 19, what would have made you think that this is something you wanted to do?
In terms of the parental role,
Yes.
yes. So, like I said, my family is very close, and my grandmother basically took the role of um, being that mother for one of my youngest cousin, and she always had high hopes for me, I should say, right? She believed solely in me, and so she rested the responsibility on me that if anything was to ever happen to her, that I should ensure that this particular cousin was okay, right? And sadly, at the age of 6 years for her, 19 for me, our grandmother passed,
Oh,
and
okay.
I had to fulfill that,
Okay.
right? A role that I absolutely does not regret today.
So at age 19, you had your own plans towards a salon, moving towards
Oh
all
yes, I
of
was
that.
going to travel the world. I was going to do all that.
So
You know,
everything took a shift.
everything took a shape.
At any point, well, you just said that it's a decision you don't regret in any way. But during the whole process, because we know at the start of it, it's one thing, but then when you're really getting into it and now you're looking at probably other persons your age moving, doing other things, all of your aspirations you had seemingly being shelved. Did you feel depressed or down at any point?
Yes, there were times I feel stuck, depressed, overwhelmed
Yeah.
with the responsibility of being, but that was a decision. I had to keep telling myself that it was never really forced upon me, because if I didn't take it up, someone else in my family would have,
Right.
right? And so every day going forward, seeing this beautiful soul blossom and whatever, that is what keeps me going,
Yeah.
right? And then it didn't really stop there. Some years after, I became a mother again to another. And so that first experience prepared me, to mother these two together.
Yeah. And that is it. Sometimes when things happen, we don't know what is the direction. We don't understand the end, because sometimes God is just preparing us for the next level. And because of that exposure and that opportunity you had at age 19, you were able to take on motherhood again at another age. And how old was that little girl at that
At
time?
the time, too.
A 2-year-old. So from a 6-year-old, so now you have a 2-year-old. Okay. In terms of your own process, so now you have these two individuals that you're caring for. The hairdressing is on hold. You're
Oh
still
no, it
doing
was
it?
never on
Okay,
hold.
all right. So tell me what's going on there.
It was never on hold, because as much as I would say to persons, I'm tired, I'm doing extra stuff, they would continue to push me. And my family are very supportive, and they have me sitting on a high pedestal, if I should say, right? So if I can say no to a client, I am saying yes to a family member. My house was always full, right? It's either a cousin, and even though you say, I've never seen this style, I don't know how to do it. Oh yes, Terry, you can do it, you'll figure it out. And before you know it, I indeed
Figured
figure
it
it out.
out.
So the hairdressing was never really rest aside. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun so fast, but that hairdressing really helped contributed to where I am physically, presently
Okay.
sitting.
So tell me more. How?
Right? So I decided 4 years ago to pursue my master's degree. Right? I had plan A as to how I was going to, fund my master's XYZ.
So what's your first degree in?
Management studies.
Okay.
Right? That's why I was saying maybe we are jumping the gun.
No, that's
So
fine. That's fine. We are flowing.
right? But I decided to pursue a master's degree along the line of psychology counseling.
Okay.
Right? At the time, with hopes to benefit my department, the current department in which I am working now. Right? So I went out, and I wanted to somewhat differentiate a little bit from what the other counselors had already achieved their degrees in. I wanted to bring back something unique. So we already had the social worker, we had the counseling psychologist, whatever we had. So I wanted to do something. How can I you know, be a little bit different yet benefit the department. So I went out and I I specialized in marriage and family therapy.
Right.
Right? So when I went out there, I had a plan that spiraled from a plan before to help me ascertain my first degree. Right? COVID happened. So
Right.
that plan went sideways, and this is why it is so crucial to always have a plan B, C, D, all the way down to Z and start over again, right? Because we never know when life circumstances is going to change. So COVID happened there, and plan A went out the window.
Oh, okay.
Right? I had a choice to make. It was either I am returning back home or I'm finding some other way to fund my education out there. Jozelle, luckily, I've never really discard or put down or pushed aside the skill and passion that I had for doing hair, right? So what I did, I started showing up every day with a new hairstyle. Marketing strategy started to kick in, right? I started showing up every day with a different hairstyle, whether it's with the wig, whether it's with two cornrows going back and some baby hair flip up somewhere. I started showing up to class, you know, with a different hairstyle. Sure enough, you know, everything locked down, the country's on a go slow, salons are closed, this is closed, that is closed.
And where were you
XYZ.
located?
I was located in New Jersey.
New Jersey, okay.
Right? So I had a friend at the time and she was like, who you have come into your house doing hair? And I'm like, I'm doing my own hair. And she's like, well, we're over here suffering at the time. She's living in New York, Brooklyn, which is like 2 hours and some away from me. And she's like, I don't care, I don't know how you're going to do it, but we need you over here. And that is where that love again began to flourish.
Right.
So I went out there and I did her hair, and it wasn't just her hair, it was her daughter's hair, it was her mom's hair, it was a cousin hair, auntie hair, and that is where word of mouth started to, you know, really bring clients in for me. She would send pictures. Now this is in the heart of COVID, so you know you're going out the fully buttoned down, your mask on, your plastic thing on, and all of that, right? Your little Lysol spray and all that kind of business. Everybody mask up. But I made it work.
Right.
And the faith in me keep telling me that God was protecting me that entire time. I was not diagnosed in the peak of COVID. I was diagnosed long after. I was like, imagine that. Right? But that really became a thing, and I made a name for myself out there, just doing hair.
And that again says your gifting shall make room for you.
Exactly.
Right? That whenever you are in tune with your passion and that skill, that gift that the Lord has blessed you with, it opens doors. And it is never to look down on anything, because sometimes we look down on certain things like, you know, that's beneath me.
That's beneath me now.
Yeah. You know, that when I've arrived, I no longer want to do that. But that still has been the thing, the go-to thing that opens doors for you. So you're now, this is after COVID, and you have attained your master's degree. So you're back here in St. Vincent.
I didn't return home right away.
Okay.
Right? I feel like, okay, now I've had the theoretical aspect of things, I want some more practical stuff. So I stayed back another year, and I practiced within the realm of my field. Okay. Right? Where I was able to, through my companies, I was able to collaborate with different agencies such as NYPD, ACS, right? I worked with one of the most prominent or leading foster agency in New York. And so from time to time, you have to reach out to, you know, other persons for assistance and things like that. So I stayed back a while. I work as a psychotherapist and also as a sociotherapist to assist with behavioral modifications, you know, and other familial issues within the home as well. Prior to that, I got some experience working with directly with the courts, providing, you know, anger management and parenting classes and things like that for victims and, you know, persons who are, you know, convicted and things like that. So I got some experience in that area. Again, I never put down
The breeding.
the braiding, right? Because even through counseling, I was able to explain and empower persons. I've had a therapy session where I showed a mother how to literally braid her daughter's hair
Ah.
so that can boost.
Yeah.
So you see the correlation between the two there, right? To help with confidence, because at the time she explained she was so depressed because she was unable to comb her daughter's hair, fix her daughter's hair, and through that her daughter was being bullied
Right, right.
in school.
Yeah.
You know, so I had a whole month of therapy session showing her different hairstyles, and that really gave me joy knowing that I can use my passion, even though I'm
Yeah.
not doing it physically, you
Yeah.
know, to encourage somebody else.
And that's it, because sometimes we overlook or we underappreciate certain things, especially how your physical appearance can actually affect your mood and how you feel about yourself. So even having that practical experience that we can actually utilize, because persons think therapy is always all of the big
No.
theories, but it's the practical element as well that makes a difference. So that's quite good. And we're now here in St. Vincent, we know that in itself, therapy is something that persons are just warming up to. Persons are at a point where, you know, we are just appreciating the whole essence of mental health and mental wellness. So now you're coming back. Do you have any thoughts, any ideas in terms of how you can utilize what you've been doing over in New Jersey?
Um, yes, I do have. I am basically assessing some things.
Okay.
It's just been a couple of weeks since I've been back
Oh, okay.
and returned back to work at the family court. So I'm observing, right? And in my head, I'm trying to intertwine what I've been doing. How can I introduce it here slowly?
Right.
Who can I collaborate with?
Right.
And things like that. There are some things in the
Pipeline. Okay, great.
to come.
So I am guessing that persons may be wondering that throughout all that you have said thus far, has there been any major life issues or challenges that would have, as I said, brought you to your knees? And if there were, how did you navigate through those?
Yes, COVID. COVID did for me. Just traveling abroad and, you know, away from the comforts of home, what
Right.
I'm used to. Getting acquainted with the culture all over there and the people on a whole. Doing things differently. Being a loner in a strange country. And when I say loner, I was just so accustomed to my family. And so I had to adjust to strangers, right?
Right.
I had to make new friends, and I had to navigate a whole lot of things on its own. But just being away from my family was, I would say, a pitfall that really didn't keep me down for too long. I
Okay.
became depressed, right?
Yeah.
I started struggling with all different mental clutters. I started experiencing, right? Other mental clutters. You would hear people talk about, oh, I'm depressed. But really and truly, when you do get down to the meat of the matter, that's not even depression.
Yeah.
Or it is depression on a whole nother level.
Right.
Right? And so I've experienced all of that. The time changed. I had two children here, missing out on the most integral part of my baby's schooling. Right? Missing a mom. I don't even know how to describe it. But my older daughter's graduation, college graduation. I remember that time I was on the train and my sister called me. You see, my family has always been supportive, right? Even to the point when I decided to become my older daughter's mom. It wasn't just me alone.
Right.
the
You had a
extended
village.
family. We had a village,
Right.
right? So that really helped me. And I remember the time when my sister called me and said, oh, they're calling her name now, right? I was on the train and I just saw that and I jumped off. Right? And the train track was mine with joy, a mixture of joy and tears, right? Sadness in the fact that I wasn't there
Wasn't
to
there.
partake inside of it, and joy that she actually accomplished this milestone, right? So some of that really hindered and created some challenges for me. I discovered something called imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Tell us
I
about
always know that I was experiencing something from way back when I went into the office as a YES program worker, right? When I was appointed as a temporary worker, you know, you're going in and you're meeting all these influential people, persons who have their degree, persons who are just experienced and good at their job. And you're there
Right.
trying to learn and catch up, right? Sometimes that could cause some intimidation for you.
Yeah.
It can cause some procrastination for you, and depending on who you are dealing with and circumstances, can also create some lack of confidence and a little bit of low self-esteem. It can
Right.
trigger
Yes.
some of that, right? It's not until when I actually got into school, in my first lectures class, is when I learned of imposter syndrome. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so familiar, because I've been experiencing this all along and I did not know what it
What
was.
it was, yes.
Right? And so basically what the imposter syndrome is, high, and this is what the this is what the information is telling us out there, but I love to break it down to the fact that anyone who is striving, you know, to accomplish whatever in their life and is feeling a lack of satisfaction, a lot of passion for whatever the reason is in that area. And for me at the time, I was a grad student, and when I
Right.
got into that classroom, I was like, I'm looking around, the people does not look like me, right? When they open their mouth, I'm like, hold on a second, Terry, shut up. Because, you know, sometimes our dialect, our language can cause drawbacks. Like persons would be so alarmed when you open your mouth. Oh, I've never heard that before. Your accent is so different.
Right,
Or
right.
some of them could use it at your disadvantage to try to probe a little bit on it. So when I got into my first lecture class, I was like, what the hell, I don't belong here. What am I doing here? And it took a moment for me to actually realize that, you know, I've earned all the requirements to be here just like everyone else.
Yes.
Right? And so you have to come into get to know yourself, start believing and trusting yourself, right? Forgiving yourself for certain things and also accepting certain things too,
Right.
in order to move on. So when I discovered that, I realized, and even in my therapy session, I started recognizing some of it with my clients, and I would start giving them, you know, the psychoeducation behind of it, and they would be like, oh my God, I never knew this was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I said, you know what, maybe I need to start putting it into a book, because when I speak of the imposter syndrome, people be like, what are you talking about? Until you actually give them, you know, a little of your experience, and they be like, I can relate to that. You know, I know someone who's actually going through that right now, or I'm seeing this in my office.
Well, you just made me excited there when I heard book. You know, when I hear book, I get very excited. So before we dive into that aspect, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Your experience, your total wellness is our concern. We offer professional counseling for a variety of life's personal and corporate challenges, including grief, bereavement, and post-traumatic stress. Our corporate packages also include competitive coping strategies, individual and group dynamics, professional development, and retreats. Perhaps you just need a wellness assessment or some help understanding who you are to restore your emotional balance. Whatever your emotional needs, remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step with the Vallejo experience. Talk to a specialist today. Call us at 1-784-498-7772 or visit our website at www.vallejoexperience.com.
A
Attention all business owners. Are you tired of ineffective marketing strategies? Look no further. CG Productions is here to revolutionize your marketing game. We offer quality flyers, promotional videos, audio production, and other marketing materials that will set you apart from the competition. Say goodbye to mediocre marketing and hello to stunning, professional materials that will capture your audience's attention. Visit us online today at CG Productions to see what we can do for your business. Quality marketing materials, guaranteed. CG Productions, your marketing solution.
She is tenacious, she is determined, and she had to overcome what was called the imposter syndrome, where she had to remind herself that she had everything within her to make the difference that she needed to make in her own life and to help her to navigate the new spaces, the new opportunities that she was going to be exposed to. And before we went on the break, she said something that just got me super excited because I heard the word book. So please, do tell us, are you going to be an author?
Yes, very soon.
Oh,
I am proud
yes.
to say that I will be very soon.
But you see, whenever I hear Vincentian authors, female authors, I'm always super excited because it is so important for us to document and to actually put our experiences on paper so that other persons can use it as a tool, as something that they can actually read and tap into to figure out if this person went through this and this is what they did, then perhaps I can also utilize some of the similar things. And I want you now, you know, even as we begin to wrap up this segment, you are now looking at all of the different challenges since returning to St. Vincent. There are persons who feel stuck in terms of their lives, that some mothers may feel that they have just been lost in their family, lost in their children. There are some persons who may be unemployed for a long period of time and not finding any foot in the door type of thing, type of opportunity. Persons who are not recognizing opportunity. So many different things could be seen as a setback. I want you to speak to any of these persons, be it a female, a male, whomever, and talk to them in terms of how they can declutter, because I heard you mention that mental clutter that you had. How can they declutter to start getting into that space of taking that next step?
It's okay. I always would tell my clients, it is okay to take a step back and look at the picture altogether, right? Jozelle, I firmly believe that every single person have a story to tell. How they choose to tell their story all depends on them, right? They can do it through a book. Not everybody is deemed to be an author, right? They can tell it verbally. They can show it through their behaviors, X, Y, Z. And so I always tell my clients, and I am going to encourage everyone, you know, who is encountering that setback, it's okay to start where you are.
I like that. Start where you are.
It's okay to take a pause for a moment and just sit down, do some introspection, do some reflection, try to figure out what is my next move from here, right? I want to talk just a little bit about my setbacks and how I was able to navigate it, right? Hoping to inspire someone out there. Now, I grew up in a close-knitted community, and the community can either break you or make you.
Yeah.
You understand? Like I explained earlier, I was always this, go-getter, this type of thing. I want this. I'm going out there to find means and ways, healthy, positive means and ways to get it.
Right.
Right? And I have to stress on healthy, positive, because we can easily get distracted and go down a wrong path. Right? I've heard persons going as a 12, 13, 14-year-old, going early in the morning, coming late at night, or she gone to meet man, or she soon get pregnant, right? And sometimes these kind of comments can really break people and really and truly make people believe that is what they identify. That's my story. That is who I'm going to be, right? I've heard those things. And so I was able to overcome them by focusing on what I want to be. Whether it was going to own that salon, become that trending hairstylist, becoming what I am today. You understand? Sometimes you start off on a path and life have something else in store for you. Right? Because like I said, God wanted me to have the experience to boost my skill as a hairstylist, as I can collaborate with what I am doing now.
Right. Yes, I like that.
Right? And sometimes persons would be like, how are you so free? Again, it starts with you. You have to have a vision.
A vision, yes.
You have to also create some goals. How am I going to make this vision come alive?
Right.
Right? You may start off with this vision and something sidetrack you. Don't just discard it. It's okay to rest it down for a moment and come back to it, because maybe what is distracting you or what is really holding you up in that moment is even strengthening you, right? Boosting you to come back full blast.
I think one of the challenges I hear a lot of persons speak about is timelines, and feeling that time is running out, or if I had a time in mind and it didn't happen at this time, then I need to discard it, or, so what do you say about that?
There are times when I would say to myself, I should have been much further. But what really is much further?
Right.
Right? What I'm doing now, I should have already attained it. And that's okay. Everybody's speed is not going to be the same. Right? I absolutely had no plans of owning a degree. I wanted to own the degree in the skill that I was using, which is to perfect my doing the hair and all those kind of stuff. Right? But then life took another turn for me, and where it landed me, I needed that.
Right.
I needed to, excel. I needed to earn some academics behind my name in order to push me further there. And working in the family court made me grow so much a love for litigants of the court and the general public on a whole.
Right.
It makes me want to help, right? And so when you get to one stage, you realize, I can't really help this person. I still have to send this person to someone else. I can't do the first-hand thing, So it pushes you to thrive, to want to do more to help that particular or whomever is coming.
Right.
Another setback, there was one time when I became very depressed and I lost myself. And when I tell people that story, persons would be like, which part of your life did that happen? Right? Because I've mastered the art to never really let that show out, unless I really, now my close friends and family would know about that part in my life, right? Where I completely lost it. I started to question, the profession that I was tracing. Is this for me?
Right.
You understand? What exactly am I going to tell people? How am I going to help people? Right? So I had to take a step back then and get in tune with myself. Do some self-work. Again, I had to go forgive myself for some things.
And that's big.
Yes.
That's major. Forgiving yourself is a major thing. And a lot of persons don't know how to do that.
And then, well, I had to literally take a step back. And there was a time in my life where I had to literally utilize what I was telling my clients.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me like, you're never big. You're not too much of a professional to actually experience these things. We are all human beings.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I had to humble myself and go seek some help too. I found myself, and it was funny because my therapist and I were laughing, you know.
Yeah.
And she asked me the question. She was like, "How is it? How does it feel? You know, sitting on the other end of the chair." And it comes with humbling yourself, and I find a lot of persons today don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Because I think persons classify or you look at humility as weakness. But I always say humility is such quiet strength that you have to know when it is that you need to let your guards down. You need to put down the fighting, and you just need to allow the lessons to be learned. You need to be authentic and transparent. You need to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
And when we start embracing that honesty and transparency, that's where we get to show ourselves the grace needed to forgive ourselves. But if we are always in a combative, defensive mode, we are not able to appreciate the reasons why we have been allowed. Because I look at it that nothing is wasted. Every experience, every skill, everything works together. So if we are looking at it from that standpoint, we understand that everything was needed and everything was necessary.
Yes.
As hard as it was necessary.
It was.
And we have to make sure we utilize that lesson that, you know, is coming from it.
So again, I would encourage persons to start where they are, create a vision if you never had one. Right? You must know what is it I want to achieve, where I want to go, whether it's going abroad, right?
Yeah.
Because going abroad was never my first thing. Life pushed me into that direction.
Right.
And again, you have to be able to believe in yourself.
That is it. Yeah.
You have to be your own cheerleader, your own counselor
Yes.
at times, right? And there was a time where I literally just got up and I said, you know what, today's it.
Today is it.
No plan whatsoever, but that was something intertwined to the plans I have, right? So it's okay to do things on the spur of the moment, analyze it, assess it, see how is it going to benefit your journey.
Yeah.
And one day, and this is going back to my bachelor's time, right? Completed the bachelor's, everything, and still owing the university some money, which is not really going to do me any good. Because I now can't get my certificate. And so I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and according to her, America is the land of opportunity. So I said, but that's where I'm going. In that moment, I said, that is where I'm going. At the time, no friends, family members are distant. I don't know where I'm going there to do, but all I know, I'm going there, Jozelle. And I got up one morning and I gathered my little resources and I reached out for help, and it is so important to have a strong support system. And I go and I say, this is what I want to do. I remember my mom asking me, you crazy? I say, maybe in a good way, right? And so I went and I landed there. No money, Jozelle.
Yeah.
I remember a friend gave me 50 US. You know, as a going away gift at that time. And he said, this is for good luck. Girl, I got off the plane and I was thirsty, so I spent $10 in the airport. And I am only left with $40 now, right? Place cold like hell. I don't know anything about up there and weather. But I gone there with whatever little I have. And they said this is a land of opportunity. I don't know whether I was going to utilize my skill as a hairdresser or whatever. But I did my little research, and something led me to Friends of Crown Heights.
Okay.
I don't know if you know about it. Sadly, the CEO passed away some weeks ago, and you know he played an integral
pivotal role.
part
Yes.
in this journey. I went to him one time, fought my way, reached out to who I need to reach out to get to this man, And I went to him, and just like I'm talking to you, I said, this is what I came here for. I need my degree certificate to go back to school. This is how much I owe. I need a job that is going to help me to attain this. And the man was like, I like you. Now you're talking.
You know why? Because part of it, you came honest. And the other thing is that you didn't say I need a handout. You said
no,
I need a job.
I need a job. Right? And he said to me, okay, do you have qualifications? Which wasn't really a necessity at the time, but he still needed to know. And he said, I am going to create. I don't think they actually had that space at the time. He said, I'm going to create something for you. And while they're chatting with the man, he's making calls here, there, and everywhere. And he said, I have somebody and I'm sending that person to you right now. Girl, I don't even know the hell I'm going, but I don't know where I'm going at the time. But I found myself there and I was able. And at the end of that 6 months, I went back and I said, thank you. So it is also very important to show gratitude to these people whom have helped you along the way, right? My professional career started when my supervisor and very few co-workers believed in me when I started out as a Yes Program worker. And to hear my then supervisor, Miss Wendy Bacchus, tell me to this day that she saw this coming because of my drive, when I walked into that office, gives me great joy that although I didn't see it at the time, there were people looking on. Even when I went in there with little to no skill, Sonia Ince and Dawn Thompson at the time, they were my co-workers. They literally held my hand and walked me through the process.
Part of it is that you always have to be open enough to allow persons to help you. And the right people believing in you makes a difference. Terry, I want to applaud you. I just love your go-getting spirit. I love the fact that, and what I admire is that there is this bravery. Even though within you, you might feel all the butterflies, but when you project outside, we see this bravery. And I heard when you left here, and I'm like, what are you doing in the States? And all of these things and all of the stories and everything and how it lined up, but you're here now at the end where you can look back and say, but God.
But God.
But God. And it took one step at a time that you navigated to where you are. And I wish you nothing but success. And I'm looking forward to that book. I'm looking forward to hear so much more about Terry and her fashionable salon and all of the good things that's in the future, because maybe it will be a salon that offers therapy, or therapy with a salon.
Therapy with a salon.
There you go, who knows? But thank you so much, and thank you for everyone who would have joined in on our OneStep podcast today. Understand that we are not just simply here to share stories for the sake of sharing stories or to show clout in terms of persons who have succeeded, but we want persons to understand if we did it, you can do it too. And it only takes taking that brave step, that move that you have to get out of the boat, you have to dive into the deep, and you have to start pushing yourself to where you want to go. I want to say thank you especially to Sunset Shores Beach Hotel for allowing us again to use the beautiful ambience of this hotel. And if you're ever in St. Vincent, if at any point you come and you want to have whether a day pass or you just want to have a nice vacation, this is definitely the hotel of choice. So have a good one until our next episode, where we will inspire you to take the journey of that single step. That's all we want you to do. To get to that end product, that single step, that's all we want. And we say thank you and bye-bye.
At the Vallejo Experience, your total wellness is our concern. We offer professional counseling for a variety of life's personal and corporate challenges, including grief, bereavement, and post-traumatic stress. Our corporate packages also include competitive coping strategies, individual and group dynamics, professional development, and retreats. Perhaps you just need a wellness assessment or some help understanding who you are to restore your emotional balance. Whatever your emotional needs, remember, the journey of 1,000 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step with the Vallejo experience. Talk to a specialist today. Call us at 1-784-498-7772 or visit our website at www.vallejoexperience.com.
As you navigate your path through life, all that is required is that you take one step at a time. Though hard it may be at times, each day, be committed to show up strong. Some days your strength can look different to other days. Just know this, that whenever you're at your worst, try to look your best. Dress up and face the world. That's the first step towards moving forward. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single step. Lao Tzu.